Our beautiful Unity singers, thank you so much. That is beautiful. Was that a song that you requested, Denise? Yeah, because you were singing right along with them. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Well, our speaker today is very special, and I've got to meet her. We've been emailing for quite some time, and when I heard of her story, I knew that we wanted to bring her here. It's a powerful story of healing, and not just at the physical level. It's the power of love to heal us. It's a message that it's the most fundamental lesson for all of us to really learn. Everything you hear me say up here is some version of that. Reverend Denise Desimone is an author, a speaker, and a singer. She's also an ordained interfaith minister and certified in many other alternative healing modalities. From a medical standpoint, she's a walking, talking, singing miracle. She having survived stage 4 throat and neck cancer, a journey which led her to author this book that Diane showed us a minute ago, Stage 4 to Center Stage. 22 months after being warned that she might never sing again, Denise sang the national anthem to a sellout crowd for 37,000 people at Red Sox fans at Boston's Fenway Park. That's a story, yes? And in fact, it was picked up by many, many news programs, Inside Edition, Fox News, Buckley Report, NBC Daytime, etc., and done radio interviews across the nation as a result of this amazing story that she has to share with us today. She's also created several CDs, audio programs, an audio book, and a live version of the national anthem at Fenway Park that you can pick up today too. All of this will be available. She'll be in the breezeway to greet us and to sign her book, I'm guessing as well. Dr. Bernie Siegel says of Denise in her book, this woman is living the sermon. Let reading her become your coach. It will guide you to a healed life. Please welcome Reverend Denise Desimone.
I have to be a gypsy today, only one earring. Or we'll hear click, 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 click. Well, good morning. And thank you for your invitation to be with all of you. And I was scheduled to come out here last year, yes? And I had to postpone it. And 3 weeks ago, I've been here since February 28th. I flew out here with a fever of 101, bronchitis, and the flu, so my voice is a few octaves lower. I sound a little like some of you may remember Brenda Vaccaro. I'm not trying to sound this way. It's just what's happening right now. So thank you. It's been great. So you heard some of my story through the introduction, and I will give you a few little snippets here and there. But I like to say, really, all you need to know about me, because today's about you, it's not about me. It's about what I can impart for you that might make a difference in your life. I like to just leave you with this. I got cancer, I didn't die, so I wrote a book. That's it. It's all in the book. The details are great, but it's the lessons that I learned, that I share, that I feel are important. So I want to invite you today to listen in a certain way. And I call this listening like your engine's on fire. So what does that mean? Everyone, I'm assuming most of us have flown in an airplane, yes? So we get on an airplane, then we sit down, we get in our seat, we pick up an in-flight magazine, or we put our earbuds in and we're listening to whatever music moves us, and we're getting ready to take off and take that long ride to Boston, maybe, or from Boston to California. And a few minutes after that, they close the door, and the flight attendant gets up, and she and he start to go through all of the gyrations about what to do. Put your seatbelt on, if the oxygen mask falls down, what to do in the case of an emergency. Now, what are we doing? Ignoring them. Because why? Because we already know that, don't we? Our predisposition as human beings does, I already know this. We are very skilled at it with our husbands and wives. We're really skilled at it. We've been doing it our whole lives, but we've really mastered it by the time we got married or we're in a relationship. So then we're cruising along. And we're at, 30,000 feet, still listening to Adam Levine or whatever you're reading. And you look out the window, and all of a sudden, the engine is engulfed in flames. Now what happens? What's that? Oh, it's the engine on fire. How fabulous. See how great God is? So the engine is engulfed in flames, and now what happens? You look out there and you start to panic, and you're looking at the person next to you, and all of a sudden, Adam Levine doesn't sound good anymore. And the in-flight magazine, isn't that interesting? Nothing is that interesting. What's interesting now is that you are looking for the flight attendant because what happened? Your life depends on it. You see, I was cruising through life. And we have all had situations. In fact, my story is just my story. I could go around today to every single one of you, and every one of you has an important story. Why is that? Because it's your story. And it's your life. My story is no more important. So we're cruising through life, and all of a sudden, our engine's emblazed. And life comes to a screeching halt. And it stops us in a way that we've never been stopped before. And I like to say, let's not wait until our engine's on fire. The presence of cancer was the best present I ever received. And the reason that is so is because it taught me to be present. That gentleman, Kyle, is absolutely right. There is nothing more important than this now moment. Nothing more important than this now moment. But yet we forget that. So we don't wait till our engine's on fire. Let's listen to life. So you may hear one little small thing if you're really present today. Because our monkey minds like to do all kinds of things, don't they? Am I still clicking? Is this one? Oh, I guess I'm going to be naked. So this now moment is what's important, and I want you to pay attention because there may be something that you might hear. Any survivors here today? Cancer survivors? God bless you. Yay, good. We're all survivors of life, but that really brings it home a little bit more. So I don't know if you know who Abraham Hicks is. Okay. Esther says, where there's a battle, there's a war. And war against war is war. And I think we've had enough war. There's enough war going around. So I don't know about you cancer survivors, and for everybody in this room, everybody has been touched by somebody who has cancer. And the way we hear about it in our culture is always talking about the battle. This person's fighting the battle of their life. That person's fighting the battle of their life. This person lost their battle. And I like to say they didn't lose anything. They're not losers. They just happened to die, and cancer was part of the reason. And so I took a different approach. And I started to look at this as, interesting. This disease, which to me a disease is dis-ease, a disconnection, a distortion, somehow a disruption to the ease and grace which is what we were all born into. Little Christian was just born into the miraculous thing called life. Perfectly. And we forget that. So I decided that I wanted to befriend my cancer. I didn't want to battle my cancer. So I met some of you today, and you told me your name. I told you my name. We introduced. So what I did was when I was looking to befriend my cancer, I named my cancer, and I named my cancer PIN, for pain in the neck. Because it was a pain in my neck. I didn't mean it in a derogatory way. It just happened to be the truth. I had a lump that appeared on the left side of my neck. My story was crazy, what I went through. The doctors told me I had to have a feeding tube surgically inserted. That happened immediately. And what it was going to be like, doctors are telling me, and you won't be able to eat, no food, no water, you'll lose your voice, you're going to have chemo, you're going to have radiation, all of these challenges, which to me, challenges are really doorways to transformation, aren't they? They're the gifts of life. And so the doctor's going on and telling me all of this, and as his mouth is talking, and he's telling me what's going to happen, and, all of a sudden, I'm underwater, and I'm back on no food, and I'm thinking to myself, does this guy know I'm Italian? Like, there's nothing but Italian here? And how can you tell me? I couldn't get it. I couldn't grasp the fact that I wasn't going to be able to eat. It just didn't make any sense. And so all of a sudden I decided, well, maybe this was before I decided to really befriend, because initially I thought, you know what, I'm just going to let my slip away. I was just turning 50. I've had a great life. I'm not afraid to die. In fact, I'm intrigued by it, but I don't want to go yet. And I thought, I'll just slip away. And my sister, I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters, 52 nieces and nephews, lots of people in my family. And my sister said, I will kill you if you die. There's no dying in this family. So I got to work, and I said, okay, this is a challenge. Let's not resist reality. The Buddhists say all stress comes from resisting reality. So I embraced it, and the lessons are this. I decided I was going to meditate. I was going to get into my higher self. I was going to ask my pen, my new best friend, how to incorporate and allow love to come in and seep and saturate every single one of my cells and love this cancer right out of my body. I wasn't going to fight. I didn't want to battle. I was exhausted. The energy I had, I needed to use it for love. So I sit down and I ask Pin all kinds of questions. And in the interest of time, I can't really get into too many, but I will share the top 3. Chapter 6 in my book is called Pin. And I wrote this book from a very vulnerable place. I had no choice. The only ability I had at that point was vulnerability in my life. And I wrote it in a way that gives permission, all of us, to get into the truth of who we are and learn the lessons that we came to learn. So I go about my business and I ask Pin, what are you doing? We get into this conversation. I meditate. I take a pen and a paper, and some of the information that came through, I know was my higher self. I couldn't consciously think it myself. So Pin, one of the first things Pin said to me was, stop wasting your time and stop beating yourself up for nothing. And when I, indignantly, I will admit, said to Pin, I'm not beating myself up for nothing. Pin said, well, it doesn't feel that way in here. I thought, some of you are humming. Do you get that? You see, the day I was diagnosed, 3 days before, I had ridden my bicycle 90 miles in one day. I raised thousands of dollars for little children for cancer research. 3 days later, I was not only told I had stage 4 cancer, I was told I had about 90 days to live. 3 months to live. And that day, you can only imagine, I went home and I was racing and running and through my head. And my friend Paula from church called me up at 6 in the morning and she said, Dee, you want to pray? And I said, yes. And before we prayed, she said something to me that was so amazing. She said, you didn't do anything wrong. And I want you to hear that as my message to you. You never have done anything wrong. I don't believe in right and wrong. But I will tell you, that night I sat up and I was thinking, okay, so I ate a lot of licorice in my life. I love pastry and cookies. I mean, I've been a good unitic for 17 years. I mean, I'm giving and I'm loving, and what did I do wrong? And when she said that, it was so freeing. And then with Pin telling me, stop beating yourself up for nothing. The other predisposition that we have is, yes, I know this, but also we get out the sledgehammer and we beat ourselves up for things that don't matter. And that is when we're not in the moment, folks. We're back here. I should have been this and I should have done that, and I'm not this enough, I'm not skinny enough, I'm not rich enough, I'm not fat enough, I'm not enough of whatever it is that we do that about. As humans, we have 70,000 thoughts a day. Every 1.2 seconds, we have a thought. And most of them, I don't know, Larry, maybe you know why. We err on the side of negativity. And it's only when we begin and when I started to think about, because I had a lot of time to sit and think, I sat in my recliner. I've often teased and said I'm going to write a book about my life as a recliner from the recliner's perspective. Like, what was that like? I had a lot of time, and I started to think about what I thought about. And when I'd have negative thoughts, I'd have a replacement statement. Incorporate a replacement statement in your life. We can talk more about that. I hope you're going to be with me this afternoon. So I started to think about and not worry about what was happening in the future. If I died, I died. But I wasn't going to slide into home plate up in heaven with fear and worry and concern and beating myself up about anything. So that's the first thing that Pin said to me. Stop beating yourself up. The second thing was the more you love yourself, the less reason for me to stick around. And the third thing was the more light you can hold, the less room there'll be for me. So let's look at that one. The more light you can hold, the less room there'll be for me. So I go about wondering, okay, what does that mean? I feel like I'm a light being. I don't exactly know. So I really got into the process. And that process brought me to a place where I realized, we're not, maybe some of you had amazing childhoods, and everybody told you were fabulous every minute of your life. I doubt it. Now, our parental units, through no fault of their own, they did the best. But there's been a lot of stuff in our lives, from every challenge or every moment or whatever it was. Things get stuck in our bodies, our physical being. That's why I love sound healing, because it bypasses the brain and goes in and releases these. So I use my sound healing, but even more so, how do I make more room for the light? Well, I started to be honest about what was going on and where those crevices and places where I had to shake loose those emotions that were trapped and stuck in my body. So I bought a wiffle ball bat. And my sister Diane said, what do you need that for? I said, it's my new anger management tool. You see, I don't believe we can just take a spiritual bypass. I didn't go from, oh, isn't this great? I have cancer. I think I'll just, talk to my cancer. And no, that wouldn't be realistic. We're humans. Our spirituality has to make room for our personalities. And my personality was pretty ticked off. I was busy. I was on the board at Unity. I was very involved with raising money for kids' cancer. I have a huge family. We like each other. We hang out all the time. I have a lot of friends. I'm a social butterfly. I was working full-time selling software, making a boatload of money. I didn't have time for it. But God didn't care about that. God had a message for me, and I needed to sit down and be quiet. But to do that, I believe that when we're challenged and we feel anger is a useful emotion, in order to make room, I had to let out what was in the way. So I took my wiffle ball bat and I started whacking and banging and doing all kinds of stuff. And the more I did that, and I cried and wept, I'd end up laughing. And then eventually, little by little, I started to feel lighter. All of that stuff left. And the third thing, the more you love yourself. The more you love yourself, the less reason for me to stick around. Now, I tell you, I thought I loved myself. I really did. But not the way I can stand up here today and tell you I know I love myself. So I started to think about that. I want you to ask yourself the question, do you really love yourself? Can you go look in the mirror, like Louise Hay says, and say, I love you? It's not easy. It is not an easy thing to do. In fact, it's really, really, really hard. It's one of the most challenging things we'll ever do. So I thought, okay, Louise Hay says, go say I love you. So I go and I say I love you. Now, I can do that for about 5 seconds. Or you can kind of go, hey, love you. But I'm talking about really looking into your own eyes. So I start this process. Chapter 7 is take a good look in the mirror. And I fall on the ground, and I'm crying, and I'm, cry a ton of tears. But yet I still kept at it because I knew there was something there. I knew there was something there. So I decided not only am I going to say I love you, I'm going to put lipstick on. I'm going to kiss myself in the mirror. Now, men and women, I'm going to challenge you to do that. Even if you guys are single and you have to go buy a lipstick, do it. Kiss yourself in the mirror, because there's two things. One, it really does bring you into spending more time to really look at. I'm telling you, this is tough stuff, but it's worth it. And then when you go back into that room, God bless you, when you go back into that room, whatever room, my mirrors are a mess in my house. Wherever you go back and you see that, it's a reminder. It's a reminder of how you feel about yourself. And whatever's in the way, get it done. Because we have to love ourselves. We can't really love another truly, fully, deeply, and completely until we love ourselves. I know this. And we have to start, and this is a whole other topic, but I just want to touch on it, forgiveness. We hold on to things in so many ways for so many reasons that we not only beat ourselves up, we beat everybody else up. And so I'll tell you a quick story. When I first got diagnosed, a lot of people came to me and wanted me to do all kinds of different healing modalities. Now, I'm very schooled in a lot of healing modalities. And at that point, I didn't want to do anything. But one friend of mine said to me, I want to take you to this Korean healer. And I said, okay. So, I had a feeding bag forever, and about a month into it, she takes me to this Korean healer, and they take me in this room, and they lay me down, and this little lady, about as big as a minute, little pixie haircut, her name is Chun Shim Nin, lies me on the floor, puts this wooden thing behind my neck, and she starts tapping on my chest. Be in body. Be in body. And I'm like, okay, I'm in my body. Be in body. Now, I'm a fiery little feisty Italian, and at that point in time, I'm like, okay, I don't feel well. I don't know what this is about being your body, but I can only take a few more minutes of this. Well, this went on for an hour. She is not saying anything. Be in body. I go home. All of a sudden, the floodgates open, and I am in a pool of tears. I'm crying from the depths of the soles of my feet. Next week, my friend picks me up. We go back. Be in body. I'm like, oh, Madonna mia. Be in body. So then she asked me a question. She says, is mother alive? I said, no, she's dead. Be in body. Father alive? No, he's dead. Sister, brother? She asked me all these questions, yeah. But the key is, she says, father, good guy? Now, my father and I loved my father. Didn't always like him. Old school Italian. I'm the youngest of 5, came after 9 years of having no kids. This poor guy, he didn't know what to do with me at 43 years old. So she's asking me about my father, and we did have some challenges. And she says, your father do best he can do? I said, no, absolutely not. So I go on this tirade about everything that he didn't do right. And this poor little lady's just looking at me, not that she hasn't heard anything like it before. And she looks at me, and she's still tapping, and she says, you do best you can do? And I said, yeah, I'm doing the best I can do. She stops tapping. She bends over. She looks in my face and she says, then why not Father do best he can do? And I will tell you, in that moment, my true healing began. I got it. My dad did the best he could do. And my not forgiving him was hurting me. I had throat cancer. What the heck did I have to say? So I went about the business of getting down and deep and loving myself. Forgiving myself for doing all that to myself, and forgiving my dad and everybody else. Because the only thing that matters is the moment and how much we love ourselves. Because at the end of our lives, we're going to ask a few questions. So I like to do it at the end of every day. Did I live? Did I love? And did I matter? Did I live the life I came to live, not based on what someone else said I should do, not based on what anybody else thinks about how I should live my life? Did I live, folks, if you're not doing something that makes you happy, don't do it. Just don't do it. And did I love myself so fully, pressed down, full and complete, that when I walk by somebody, it just spills out over them? That's how we're going to have peace on the planet. We're going to raise the vibration here tomorrow night. I hope you're going to be here. But that's how peace on the planet begins. Right here. And it starts with love. And the more peaceful we are, the more love we have, the more it spills out over everybody else. And did we not only love ourselves today, did we let the people in our lives know that we love them? Sometimes we don't always do that. That can be a little scary. And did we matter? Did who I was being today matter? Because you do matter. Every single one of us on this planet matters. Maybe we don't all go out and change the world, but just by being who we are, we do change the world. Because without you, we wouldn't, I like to say, you're the you in unity. Unity's nothing without you. So did I live, did I love, and did I matter? Now I'll end with this. Take your left hand. Give yourself a kiss. Take your right hand. Kiss. Hold your face. Hold your face nice and tight. That person is the most precious person on the planet. And if you forget, Denise at Denise Desimone. God bless you and thank you for your kind attention.